Chances are you've heard of the 52-17 productivity rule. Well, that was 7 years ago. We've updated and rerun the entire experiment and we have new findings. Spoilers, it's totally different now. Back in 2014, when we launched this study about how the most productive people work, we found that the most productive people work on average for 52-minute sprints and then take on average 17-minute breaks. This research went viral. It was covered in all the major news outlets. It was on TV, on the radio. People have even made apps dedicated to it. But that was 7 years ago, and we were curious about how and if it has changed. So we decided to completely rerun the same study. We isolated the top 10% of the most productive people using DeskTime, which is about 350,000 people altogether, and we isolated and identified their working behaviors. And the results couldn't be more different. Drum roll, the new results are that people now work on average of 112 minutes and break on average for 26 minutes. That's nearly double in some cases and even more in other. Just a quick break, just reminding you to subscribe for more studies and original data like this. All right, back to the video. So we see that people are working significantly longer sprints of time and also taking somewhat longer breaks. So what's going on here? Well, we have had a lot of time since the last study, and we've also had an entire pandemic in between. So chances are this has kind of mixed things up. From one side, we're seeing people spend a lot more time at the computer. People are working longer hours to compensate for the fact that they're not commuting anymore, and just in general are finding it more difficult to draw the line at the end of the workday. So that explains the longer hours. We also spoke to psychologist Katrina Urschle on why we're seeing these results, and her findings were that she's seeing that people are spending more time in meetings than ever before. Now that people are remotely working, they're having a lot more meetings to kind of stay on top of tasks and stuff that they're doing together. So those meetings that used to happen away from the computer and face-to-face are now happening in the computer. So already that contributes to a longer kind of screen time. At the same time, she also says that now breaks are turning into just more work. People are taking their time away from the computer to make lunch for the family, to help with kids' schoolwork, to put a laundry load in. And so the breaks are turning into more work rather than less work. So this is completely changing the dynamic of working and breaking. Now, we didn't stop at that. We were also curious about how the pandemic specifically has affected these findings, and if these findings are just merely as a result of the pandemic. So what we did is we also repeated the exact same research and pulled out the data for February of 2020, when the majority of the world was still working regularly as they had been before. And there we had different findings. Those findings were that people were working on average for 80 minutes sprints and breaking for 17 minutes. So we're still seeing the same amount or length of break time, but already seeing a longer amount of the work sprint time. So 80 minutes being an hour and 20 minutes. All in all, we are seeing a tendency for people to work longer hours, take longer breaks, and it has really accelerated during this time of pandemic. So what do you think? Is this kind of more in line with how you've been working lately? Please comment below and subscribe for more in-depth productivity studies.